He didn't stop. He didn't listen. And 3 seconds later, everything changed. In front of Buckingham Palace, where centuries of honor stand guard, one tourist made a choice that would haunt him forever. No respect, no boundaries, just a smartphone and the worst decision of his trip. The guard's voice cut through the crowd like a blade. Sharp, commanding, unmistakable. But the tourist kept walking, kept smiling, kept filming. Big mistake. What happened next shocked thousands, went viral worldwide, and became the perfect example of what happens when you push too far. Was he confused? Did he not understand? Or did he simply think the rules didn't apply to him? By the end of this video, you'll have the answer. And trust me, it's not what you expect. Before we dive in, I need to ask you something. Have you ever been to Buckingham Palace? Have you witnessed tourists behaving badly at historical sites? Drop a comment and tell me your story, because what we're seeing isn't isolated incidents anymore. This is a pattern, and we need to talk about it honestly. Here's something that happens all the time at royal sites. People see Asian tourists and immediately assume they're Japanese. But behavior tells a different story than appearance. And in the footage you're about to see, you won't need a passport to figure out exactly what's happening here. The way someone moves, how close they get to the guards, whether they acknowledge warning signs, how they react when confronted. It all reveals something deeper. Sometimes it reveals cultural patterns we're afraid to discuss. But silence doesn't solve problems. Honest conversation does. What do you think? Should we talk openly about behavioral differences between tourists from different cultures, or is that automatically prejudiced? Let me know in the comments, because this matters. Now let me be crystal clear before anyone attacks me in the comments. This is not about stereotyping entire nations. Every country has respectful travelers and disrespectful ones. But we also can't pretend patterns don't exist when they show up repeatedly in viral footage from the same locations. Japanese tourists often get blamed unfairly for incidents they had nothing to do with. And if you've watched Japanese visitors around royal guards, you've probably noticed something remarkable. They bow from a distance. They stay behind barriers without being told. They read signs and follow rules quietly. Why? Japan has the world's oldest continuous monarchy. Respect for authority and tradition, what they call RAE, is taught from childhood. It's not performative. It's who they are. So when Japanese tourists visit Buckingham Palace, that ingrained respect naturally extends to Britain's royal traditions. Have you noticed these differences yourself? If you've traveled or live in a tourist area, what patterns have you observed? Share your experiences in the comments, and please keep it respectful. We're discussing behavior, not attacking people, but here's the thing. Not every Asian tourist follows these patterns. And in our viral clip, there's someone who crosses every possible line. People watching couldn't tell at first if he was Chinese, Japanese, or Korean. But his behavior told everyone exactly what they needed to know. Before we show you that footage, hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because we're diving into topics mainstream media won't touch. You don't want to miss what's coming. The British Royal Guard isn't a photo prop. These are elite soldiers protecting Buckingham Palace and the royal family. This tradition spans centuries. Every guard takes an oath to uphold the crown's honor and dignity. But not every visitor understands or respects what they represent. Guards are trained to remain stoic under extreme conditions. They stand motionless for hours. They ignore thousands of cameras daily, but their patience has limits. And when someone crosses certain lines, they're authorized to respond, loudly, forcefully, without hesitation. What would you do if you were a royal guard facing daily harassment? How long could you keep your composure? Let me know in the comments. Now let's talk about what actually happened. The footage shows an Asian tourist approaching restricted areas. Warning signs everywhere. Barriers clearly marked. Other tourists following rules just fine. But this individual keeps walking, keeps pushing boundaries. The guard issues a verbal warning. The tourist ignores it. The guard's voice gets louder, more commanding. Still ignored. Then comes the moment that shocked everyone. The guard takes action, direct, immediate, unforgettable. Some assumed he was Japanese because of appearance, but his behavior screamed otherwise. Japanese tourists maintain respectful distance. This person did the exact opposite, testing boundaries even after multiple warnings. The royal horse sensed the tension and reacted too. And suddenly, the tourist's confidence vanished. Was the guard's response justified? Drop your opinion in the comments and explain why you think what you think. Here's what makes this fascinating. After the confrontation, witnesses said the tourist claimed he didn't understand the rules, didn't see the signs, thought guards were just decoration. But the signs are in multiple languages, including Chinese. The barriers are obvious, and his body language when first warned suggested he understood perfectly. He just chose to ignore it. This isn't about language barriers. This is about someone who believed they could do whatever they wanted without consequences. And unfortunately, this attitude appears in patterns we need to address honestly. Have you traveled abroad and seen tourists from your country behaving badly? How did it make you feel? Tell me in the comments. When we discuss behavioral patterns from specific countries, some people immediately scream, racism. But there's a massive difference between racist stereotyping and honestly discussing observable cultural differences. Racism is saying all Chinese tourists are rude. That's wrong and false. But acknowledging that certain behaviors appear more frequently among tourists from specific regions isn't racism. It's observation. Different cultures teach different values about public behavior, personal space, and rule following. Pretending these differences don't exist helps no one. Can we discuss cultural differences without being prejudiced? Or should we treat every incident as random, with no patterns? Let me know your thoughts. So what's the solution? How do we prevent these confrontations while welcoming international tourists? Some suggest stricter enforcement and heavy fines. Others want better education and clearer signage. Maybe tour operators need to educate clients better. Maybe countries with large tourism populations need respectful travel programs, or maybe individual travelers need to take personal responsibility for researching and respecting the places they visit. What would you implement if you ran a major tourist destination? Drop your policy ideas in the comments. We read every response and feature the best suggestions in future videos. Let's talk about something ignored too often: the impact on guards themselves. These are real people doing serious jobs, facing disrespect dozens of times daily. Imagine working while people constantly mock you, touch you, try to make you laugh, or ignore your authority completely. Guards maintain incredible composure, but that doesn't mean it doesn't affect them. Behind those stoic faces are soldiers who've trained for years to protect their nation's heritage. They deserve better than being treated like theme park characters. Have you worked in a position where people didn't respect what you do? That perspective might help us understand what these guards experience. Share your thoughts below. This incident represents something bigger than one clueless tourist. It's about global tourism colliding with local traditions, social media culture clashing with sacred spaces, individual entitlement versus collective respect. Millions travel internationally every year with little understanding of local customs. The customer is always right mentality conflicts with the reality that some places demand respect, regardless of whether you paid admission. The solution isn't stopping travel or closing cultural sites. It's creating better education systems, clearer consequences, and tourists taking more personal responsibility abroad. Do you think tourists have gotten worse recently? Or has social media just made us more aware of behavior that always existed? Let me know in the comments. Here's my final question. When you see footage like this, what's your immediate reaction? Do you blame the tourist, their country's education system, tour operators, the destination for unclear rules? Or do you think everyone's overreacting? Drop a detailed comment explaining your position. I personally respond to thoughtful comments, especially ones offering perspectives I haven't considered. If you want a real conversation, I'm here for it. Thanks for watching this deep dive into tourist behavior and cultural respect. If this video changed how you think about travel and treating cultural traditions, that's exactly our goal. Subscribe for more content that tackles complex cultural topics honestly, and I'll see you in the next one.